Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. If everyone could take their seats, I'm delighted to welcome you to this afternoon's session, which is titled Women and Girls Entrepreneurship. And we're going to be talking about removing barriers and scaling success. So what I'd like to do is give a quick introduction of our panelists, and just to let you know what to expect. We'll have a short discussion amongst our panelists led by our moderator, and then we'll have some table discussions, and you have at your tables a session leader who will help you guide that discussion, but I'll give uncomplicated instructions as we go along. So my name is Yumna Ali. I work for SunTrust, and I'm happy to volunteer here today. And I am delighted to introduce our panelists this afternoon. We have a great group and an excellent discussion ahead. So let me start with our moderator, who is Jennifer Keitt, and our Chief Empowerment Officer, which is a great title, with the Jennifer Keitt Show. And she's going to be our moderator today. So welcome. And we have Valerie Calderon, who is a senior researcher and consultant with education at the Gallup Group. And of course, the now famous winner of our Hope in a Box student group. Yay! So Alexia M is here, and we'll be hearing a lot from her, I'm sure. And for those of you who are excited to meet her and have a conversation, she will be outside in her booth after the session, which is outside and to the right. So finally, but not least, is Natalie Byrne, who is here from Dermalogica, and she is the Director of Global Impact. So I will turn it over to Jennifer, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone, to Women and Girls. How many of you have anything to do with the empowerment of women and girls? Let me hear you. You are in the right house tonight. We're going to keep this energy level high as we go into a very intimate discussion. We're going to challenge, we're going to provoke, we're going to encourage. We're going to make sure that when we leave this session, each and every one of us comes away, I'm hoping, with a different perspective of what it means to actually empower women and girl entrepreneurs, how to remove some of those barriers, and how to actually scale for success. And also, how can we create an atmosphere for sustainability? It's one thing to scale for success. It's another thing to go a lifetime to see someone like Lexi all over the world for generations. So let's begin to think. Why don't you start us, Lexi, by telling us a little bit more about yourself personally and your personal journey?
So, my name is Alexia. I'm the owner and founder of Miniature Chef Academy. And so I started because Operation Hope Business in the Box, they came to our school. And then so we did a competition, and then I won that one. And then so we got a business role model. And my business role model, she just helped me like learn how to start it in like business attire, public speaking, and marketing.
What made you decide to reach out into entrepreneurship? What excited you about the opportunity?
So a few weeks ago, some people came to our school, and then they told us that in a few years there might not be as many job opportunities as there are now, so we should learn to create our own wealth.
Do you think that if someone hadn't have told you that, would you have just thought that on your own?
I would never thought of that on my own.
Make sure you're taking notes, because this is how I want you guys to be thinking when we go into our working group session. So, Val, you want to tell us a little bit more then about women like Alexi and the research that you guys are doing that kind of that explains maybe what's going on?
So hi, I'm Valerie, and I'm with Gallup, and I have the privilege of talking to youth on a really regular basis. We like to ask good questions, and we love to think about the answers. And most people know Gallup for the Gallup. Very good. See, on cue. Anytime I'm in front of a room, what do you think about when I say Gallup? And it's our polling. People know us for asking good questions. I'm really privileged because I get to also ask questions of young people, really the nation over. One of those projects that I get to kind of be a part and helped frame up from the get-go was the Gallup Hope Index. And I shared a little bit about those results yesterday, but we're asking the questions about what youth are thinking about in terms of entrepreneurship and financial literacy, as well as a little bit of career literacy. And we're not really, I think those two things kind of go hand in hand, because Lexi kind of noticed, well, I wouldn't have thought about entrepreneurship as a career had someone sort of not proposed it to me. So, you know, at a really basic level, I think just asking youth the question, is this something, and especially girls, is this something that you want to think about? I think just proposing the idea and then investing in that. Is Latoya here? I love Latoya. Woo, go Latoya. So she's your coach, right? And having this business person who's coming alongside, continuing to nurture them this great idea. So my friend Shane Lopez is a hope scientist, and he thinks that hope theory is based on having great ideas about the future. Well, we introduced a great new idea for Lexi. Oh, I could be an entrepreneur. Then there's this next piece of hope theory, and his research is pretty robust and exciting, and I get to use that research and apply it in schools and in universities every day. That second part of hope is believing that you have the power to make that idea a reality. Now, if you ask our chairman, he would say that in this country, we don't necessarily need more innovation. Now, I'm absolutely open to argue that point. I'm all for innovation and innovators. But what we also need is someone to come alongside those innovators to turn that idea into a great business idea and to find customers. Because what an entrepreneur needs is customers. So I want you to know I'm starting a new business I decided today. Just right now I decided it. And so you know what my new business is? It's photo walks with Lexi. So why not? So a really key component of helping girls really is just introducing first, conceptually, that you could be your own business builder and introducing that early and often. We have a poll that we initiated that has a section on it that's mirrored after our Gallup Hope Index research, and it is about entrepreneurial aspiration and career and financial literacy. And so we're asking youth, we surveyed this last October almost 1 million students. There is no other such survey effort going on right now. So I'm going to give you all a little bit of a sneak peek about this, and you have to, how many people are in this room? You have to keep it under your hat, because it's not really secret. You can go online and find some of this right now, but we're going to let a little bit of the cat out of the bag. But we polled almost 1 million students in schools across the U.S., and we were asking them what they were thinking about, whether they plan to start their own business or whether they would invent something that changes the world. Now, I shared some results yesterday that sort of imply or indicate that males and females are similar on that aspiration. We're digging into that even more, and I think there's more that we need to dig in there. There is research from our million sample that indicates that girls are lagging a bit about that, especially when they get to high school. So we have to think about, so if that's true, and there are lagging in terms of whether or not they plan to do that, we need to kind of come alongside and obviously investigate. Well, why could that be? And I'm sure we'll get into this more, and I'll let our other awesome guests here chat for a while, but I think that there's internal barriers to that goal of being a successful entrepreneur, but there are also external barriers, and I think that there's many of those that we could just begin to rattle off. There certainly are gender biases that exist. There's research that suggests it's just harder for women to get a loan, for example, than it is for men. There's reasons for that too, that happens, and we can kind of unpack some of that. But we need to investigate the why, if that's true, and why as they progress. And even for entrepreneurs who are successful and women entrepreneurs who are successful, they have different reasons for being an entrepreneur in some cases than men do. I think reasons that we need to acknowledge and embrace, but also reasons that we need to dissect and kind of dive into and figure out why. So there's males outpace women in terms of business ownership about 3 to 1. So there's about 1 million-ish, when you talk macro numbers, million-ish. With female business owners, there's about 3 million male business owners. Well, those businesses are actually growing, and they're bigger than those owned by females. So they have 5 times the number of employees in male-owned businesses than in female-owned businesses. So not only are we outpacing, males outpacing females in terms of ownership, they're also outpacing in terms of employment. So I think, again, there's lots of reasons for that, and I think the reasons that women go into business somewhat mirror to some degree align with why males go into entrepreneurship, but I think there have different business reasons also for that business choice. To have perhaps more flexibility, more opportunity to spend time at home, have that sort of balanced lifestyle. Just be your own boss. Males would probably say the same thing. So there are a lot of those kinds of pieces, but I think that there's internal barriers to how women think about business ownership and how we think about money. I think we need to, help women know it's okay to ask for money and talk about money and profitability and have those good dialogues and empower young girls to understand that that's part of the equation. We need to ask for it. We need to spend it wisely. We need to invest in the right places to be successful. But how do we kind of help them feel comfortable with what those internal barriers might be so we can begin to overcome them, but also address some of those external barriers to successful female entrepreneurship.
Fantastic. So Ms. Burns, Dermalogica, tell us what you're doing, a little bit more about your work with women and girls in entrepreneurship.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I am the Director of Global Impact for the skincare company Dermalogica. This skincare company operates all over the world, and our business essentially is made up of women entrepreneurs. You think of the salon on your street, these are women-owned businesses with women employees, women customers that are serving the community. And they become these community hubs, really where women gather to talk about what's going on in their lives and what's going on in the community. My role is to look at what we're doing philanthropically and how it drives our business. So beyond something like CSR, corporate social responsibility, and really beyond philanthropy, how are we looking at business development that impacts the future? And when you're part of the beauty and fashion industry, we're an economic powerhouse that puts more women into business than any other industry. And I think that there is an opportunity to not only look at how we're serving our own employees and our own investments, our own consumers, but looking at our future pipeline. Where are the future women and girls that will want to grow up and work in this industry coming from? And how in many parts of the world where women are facing incredible barriers to access, can we help remove those obstacles and help create the potential of entrepreneurship, sparking those ideas that help them dream beyond walls that the world has placed in front of them. In some parts of the country you may know, or the world, excuse me, women can't own an ID, they can't own land, they can't even take out a bank account in their name. And we have to look at other ways to provide that foundational economic empowerment to get them on their feet. And many times that's investing in skills, looking at vocational training and education as the pathway for them to become future entrepreneurs. I lead an initiative called FIGHT, which is F-I-T-E, fight.org, and it stands for Financial Independence Through Entrepreneurship. And through this initiative, we have worked in over 70 countries, reached over 72,000 women to date to help them start and grow businesses across sector. And many people think, well, you're the private sector, right? You're doing this to feel good, you're doing this to check a box. But if you look at how the return on investment and the consumer is changing, you look at the transparency that social media provides, and you look at the world in even 2020, only 4 years down the road, this is a world that needs solutions. And these are driven by entrepreneurs, creative thinking, risk-taking, leadership. And I think that by coming together, the private sector and entrepreneurship can help solve some of the world's most pressing issues.
That's perfect. Now, on a weekly basis, I have the opportunity on KISS 104 to host Atlanta, to talk to Atlanta about various issues, and lots of my listeners obviously are women. This past Sunday, I had the CEO and founder of Curls on, and she's very successful, started her business from the projects to the penthouse is the name of her book, and she talked to me, even at the pinnacle of her success, how this thing called fear still kind of nips at her insides. And so I'd like to talk very quickly, once again, about the why. Why women? Why girls? What barriers are there? Alexa, why don't you start by, Alexi, excuse me. Why don't you start by telling us just a little bit about maybe some of the emotions that you felt around starting your business? Like, were you like, yay, team, I can do it? Or were you, oh my God, what am I doing? What do you feel?
At first, I was like, well, I thought it was a lot of work, but throughout the whole thing, I learned that I can do it. If I put my mind to it, I can actually do it.
Did you have others? Yeah, absolutely. Were there women, men, mom, dad, people speaking into your heart saying that you could do it? Did that help?
That helped a lot.
Do you find, Valerie, that in your research, you talked about internal barriers? What are some of those? What is the research saying? And how do we address that?
So I love listening to Lexi talk, like all of us, and how her strengths come through and the things that are internal to her that she's leveraging to be successful. It aligns so much with what we're finding. So I need to promote the work of my good friend, Dr. Sangeeta Bottle, who is probably one of the premier researchers about entrepreneurial talent and what that looks like. So she investigated 4,000 entrepreneurs and created a tool called the Entrepreneurial Strengths Finder. And what she found in her research is that there are 10 traits or characteristics of successful entrepreneurs. Now, there's a very small fraction of folks that kind of just hit a home run on every single one of those 10. And I won't be able to rattle off for you all 10. When I start naming them, I get to like 4, and I feel pretty good about myself, like 40%. But there is 10, and you can just Google that. And we have lots of great stuff at Gallup.com about that. But a couple of the talents that kind of float to the top as being really critical around successful entrepreneurs is, and this is going to shock you, confidence, right? And being able to be a promoter, so closely related to that. So who better to talk about her business? They're on a main stage in front of hundreds of folks, many of whom want to invest in your business now, many of whom know about your business, many of whom kind of want to come alongside you and encourage you about that, but you were the promoter about that. Now, not every successful entrepreneur needs to be the confident promoter, but it most certainly would help. Those are 2 of the talents and strengths. But if you don't, what do you need to do? Well, the talent model says you got to go find them, right? You have to know who to recruit alongside you. So another talent piece about that is determination. You got to have resolve about that, that, you know what? And I love to listen to Lexi. Well, were you surprised? I knew that I was going to win because she had a goal she set her mind to. So that determination is actually a really important component and characteristic because of entrepreneurs. And we know, I think most of us in this room probably know a successful entrepreneur or 1 or 2. Do ya? Yeah. You know, I do. I know several, but 2 of whom I know really well. And they're my siblings. They're like, what is the matter with you working in corporate America? They each have their own business. They each have micro businesses, and they employ a couple of folks. My sister has a swim school business. And I thought about some of the characteristics in our talent profile, and my brother too. And it's funny, like I see so much of my sister when she was young, and she's just a year younger than me now, and she's had her own private swim school for in her backyard in California for several years now. It's extremely successful. She's decided not to grow the business beyond what she can manage, but each year it's grown, and there's just, in your own home, there's only so much you can do. But she came out of a swim school where she got a lot of experience and training, which is one of the, if not the biggest swim school in Asia, the Jan Thomas Swim School in Central California. And so she had this great idea, well, I'm going to start the Amy Morris Swim School because she saw that need, there's this, you saw a need, right? Well, kids don't know how to cook anymore. I can vouch for that. I have 4 in my house. I'm not sure any of them can cook anything, but they really like to eat a lot, I'll tell you that. So I'm going to have to call up Lexi. So you saw a need, and you filled it up. Every time I raise my hand to try to teach them how to, they're like, oh, you handle that one. So I think about my sister observing a very successful swim school, but then she saw a niche that was missing about that, and then she just knew, just like Lexi knew, and however many years ago when she did this, she knew it would be successful because the niche was we do not have really good one-on-one lessons, and there's a huge demand for it, and not everyone wants to drop their child off at a huge swim school. That was a great place to be. So she filled the niche. She was extremely confident. They knew exactly what they needed to do. They had a business plan, and that's another piece about the success of the business is having a focused business plan. And we've heard a little bit of that from Lexi. Someone asked you that on the panel on main stage. And you have to have that vision for the future and be extremely focused about it. So successful entrepreneurs have that. So when we come alongside girls, you have to kind of say, well, what about this talent model? What are you really good at? And we already see some of these talents just oozing out of Lexi, right? Is there somewhere here in this talent profile that you need that coach or development, or we just need to manage to the weakness? We don't have to focus on the weakness. Let's multiply our strength about this, what I do really, really well. But then who can I have come alongside me that can maybe fill some of these other talent holes that I know are important for me to be successful, and know when to ask for that help. The delegation piece is a given too. That's another talent. You got to know when to delegate something. It's just not in your space. Successful entrepreneurs do that extremely well because you have to be focused on the main thing. But it's also really important when you're thinking about your team. Who can I bring alongside that you know, can help me around these other characteristics that I know just aren't my top things? It's funny when we think of business development and growth, we want to have conversation with women and girls about the business plan, the business model. What's your plan for growth? How's that going to impact your cash flow? Where might we ask for our next loan? When and for what? Are we going to branch out? You know, there's all these business questions. But one thing I think we need to remember is that the most important asset of Lexi's business and any woman and young girl's business is what? Themselves. They're the most important asset. Now, when you're working for an organization or a company, there's usually, in most places, someone that's in charge of professional development, right? There's sort of someone's job to help think about, what do you need to be successful at my organization? But when you're the entrepreneur, you need to think about not just the business, you need to think about your most precious asset, yourself. What is it that I need to do to invest in my best talent and skills, and who can help me develop that? And be in charge and take ownership about your own professional development so you can multiply that, and then multiply those things in others as well who are around you.
So do you find, Ms. Burns, when you start talking about global perspective, you mentioned some very key items that globally women don't have the exact same makeup that we have and the access that we have here in the States. So talk to me about this internal barrier piece, what it looks like, and maybe how your company is helping.
Yeah. Well, what you're asking is really, we have to go back. We have to take a step back, right? If we're looking at how an individual, and specifically a woman and a young woman, is ready to speak out on what she believes in. There is a purpose there, and there's authenticity that really is the strongest word to me, because this is an authentic path for her, right? She has to find her own voice, and she has to step up. She's not only leading a business, she's leading a community, she's standing up as a business leader, and her voice, her business matters. There's a woman, one of the women we gave small loan to in Vietnam, Ms. Trung, who through that small loan was able to then expand her fishing business, hire other people in the community, send her daughter and son to school. And you go back and interview them and you hear these stories, and he's saying, I can't believe this is my mom, and she's not only investing in us, but she's investing in our family and our friends. And there's a big leap. But when you're looking at young women across the board, and you can even look at this here nationally, we have incredible poverty problem here in our own country. And we have cities, metropolitan cities, like where we are today, where you have extreme wealth and you have extreme poverty. And how are we bridging that pipeline so it's not such, they're not so separate, right? And how are we looking at finding our young women and helping them find their voices to go after these dreams? And I think a lot of that has to do with investing in the future. In one of our newest programs, we wanted to take FIGHT and the work we were doing around the world and bring it into our own industry. So we have a new program that's based in the salon industry. We had 10 women who just started in New York City. They're coming from out of work, out of school, young individuals. Incredible. They faced obstacles that are really hard for some of us to imagine in this room. Homelessness, single motherhood at very young ages, alienation from the family, adopted, bouncing around families, domestic violence. These are issues that are in our own communities, and they dreamed of being in this industry. We gave them the opportunity through education. We gave them the opportunity by bringing on the right partners to fill in. It can't just be education. It can't just be investing in skills. So actually Operation Hope, which is our favorite partner, came in and talked to the girls about banking, talked to the girls about credit. Where are they? Where do they want to be? How can they learn about financial literacy in a way that's very tangible? We brought in a tech partner, Dell, to work with them on technology and training, and provided them with equipment. And I think that, they just graduated in December, our first class. We're rolling it out nationwide, maybe here in Atlanta. And for me, the most exciting part is that one of the young women in this first class, my big experiment, I am an entrepreneur. I'm working in a very big company, but I'm knocking on the CEO's door every day with, we need to take this big risk because we're the ones who can. We're the private sector. We have to invest in the future. We have to make better decisions. And one of the young women from this program applied for a job at our Soho location. And if anyone has been to New York City, Soho is the coolest, sexiest place to be and get a facial. And as a skin expert, out of women all over the city applying, she was chosen because she is that good. And my point is that this is not a lack of talent. This is not a lack of hard work. These young women will work harder than all of us in this room because they've already overcome challenges we can't imagine. So for me, entrepreneurship is the vehicle that we are investing in the future.
Perfect. And we have about 4 minutes, so 5 minutes before we start our working session. I want to say this. Next week, I'm going to be bringing in about 50 high school seniors and juniors under a new initiative of my nonprofit, the Kid Institute, called #StrongGirls, creating a workshop environment in which they can begin to discover their unique purpose. That is one tiny, tiny, tiny solution that we've created on my nonprofit to think about ways to build that internal infrastructure inside of a woman. Very quickly, in the next maybe minute or so, give us your best solution, one solution that you might have to think about this, removing the barrier, scaling to success and sustainability for women. What would that be from your vantage point?
Oh, it's about your passion. You have to be doing what you love. And for our program, that was the #1. We weren't going to sell this industry to anyone. These are people who wake up every day wanting this. I met a young woman from our tribe in this room before the panel who is in love with skin, right? But across any sector, no matter what you're doing, if you're a manufacturing company, if you're a tech company, how can you open your pipeline to the next generation and make sure that you're inclusive?
Excellent. Lexi, what would be, sky's the limit, one thing that you would like to have in your arsenal to be able to make your company bigger and keep it going until you're a grown old woman?
I think I want to I want to have mentors to just keep helping me.
Wise, wise woman. You know you can't do it alone, girl. Exactly, you need help. So do we, all of us. And Valerie, what do you say?
I'm going to tag on that awesome answer because we know from our research that mentorship makes a difference. It keeps you more engaged, it helps you perform better, so it's really key. So and just to add a little bit about that, so if you are that mentor, and we all need to be a bridge for some young person, be that bridge, be that mentor, learn what they do best, find out what that is, use the Entrepreneurial Strengths Finder, find out what is it that's awesome about you, let's multiply that, let's invest in that, and then the other piece about that is recognition. Recognition is a really key component of human performance. We all need it. Our research shows that young people need it. They need recognition for a job well done. Not casually tossed out, way to go, specific things. Way to go developing a tough new idea about miniature chefs, seeing the gap and filling it and coming right in. Way to go. We needed that. Valerie's kids need that. So recognize specifically and honor that because even as grown-ups, our research shows that makes you more productive at work when someone recognizes a job well done. Not just young people, but grown-ups need it too. So find their strengths, invest in them, and recognize them specifically and often for a job well done.
Awesome. Now you guys get to do some work. Here's what I'd like for you to do. We're going to take the next 20, 25 minutes or so, and you're going to sit at your tables, and you're going to now be the eyes, the ears, the heart. Am I still on the right? Okay, all right. So here's how I'd like you to do it. Everyone in here, I would like for you to begin this process by thinking like a girl. Everyone now has ovaries. Everyone now has long flowing hair. Everyone is now female, male included. I want you to put on that mindset and that lens as you begin to discuss two things. Now that you are a woman, now that you are a girl, what barriers are there to your entrepreneurial success? And then once you at the table decide in your femaleness what those barriers are, come up with your best solutions so that we can remove those barriers and begin to scale for success and sustainability. We're going to be walking around. You have scribes at your table, iPad users to take down all your wonderful notes. Have at it and have a ball. Thank you, Pat. Thank you. Did you guys have a great work session?
All right.
I'm going to turn it back over to
Great. Thank you.
facilitation.
All right, so when I said 10 minutes, I meant 10 facilitator minutes. It's probably only been about 5. So if those of you who are counting, we're going to wrap up because we wanted to get as many thoughts as possible from the room. So you've had some really energetic discussion. Which tables would like to share something? This one right here? All right, okay. All right.
Okay,
so
can I give the ground rules for sharing?
Okay. All right.
We're all friends?
Ground rules.
Are we friends? No more than 45 seconds.
Yeah. Just pick
I
your
am the
most
queen
important thing.
of timekeeping, so 45 seconds and you will then be cut off because we want to be able to hear as many ideas as we can in the room. Seriously, guys, thank you so very much.
45 seconds. My name is JC. I'm with Kids Drone Zone, and our table came up with something fabulous. We talked about formalized education for women. We talked about how women who don't have formalized education believe that they cannot be empowered, but we want you to know that you can be empowered by going through the side door and back door and being creative. Now, we'd like every woman in here to hold up their hand and repeat after me, please. I have the power. I am the power. Thank you, ladies.
Get it, get it. Amen.
Hello, my name is Valerie Rawls, and we found that the barriers are really awareness. Once you become aware of the fact that you can, you do, and having exposure to other entrepreneurs. And some of the solutions we found is mentoring, having the support that will get you to where you want to go. So having the exposure, through the exposure you gain confidence, and then the support that you have will make you successful.
You guys are awesome.
That's
awesome.
Great. All right. I love the enthusiasm in here.
So our table was on fire, first of all. Secondly, over here, those were our two, lack of support and lack of exposure. So I want to add one more thing to that, is our concern was how to safely roll this out to young girls in such a way that you don't only impact small groups, but that you impact across the board. And so that was a barrier that we had on top of that for us as a community. When we started talking about how to best serve, we knew that we had to do it young. So that was the last thing that came across the table, is start educating in increments through the school system to give them those little pieces of I am girl, I can be an entrepreneur, I can have support, here's where I go if I'm hurting. And then the last thing is, I forgot.
Fantastic. Awesome, awesome.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to go way in that back corner. Get this room here. All right, okay, there's too many people waving at this table. All right, the one person who's not waving, okay.
Okay, we found barriers to be lack of confidence and self-esteem, as well as a lack of exposure to different business activities or innovations or whatnot. We believe that you have to take a cradle to career approach. We can't just target different areas or different age groups to address the issues that young women face. We have to support them throughout the entire process and allow them to organically develop and become independent while also providing them with structured support along the way.
That's good. That's good.
All right.
I am Alexis Holt. Our table was really on fire. Some of the things we discussed was confidence, embracing our gender difference, and it is better to be of service than to be liked. And the other thing was minimizing your contradictions and don't apologize.
Wow, wow. So what we want to do we want to take one more now? Then we're going to hear from the panel, and then we'll come back and close. Is that good?
Okay, yes, that sounds fine. I'm going to come all the way to the front. So
yes,
I've
you are.
4 compass points. We'll get
There's
you
going to
in
be
the
another
last
opportunity,
round.
guys.
Okay. All right. Closing.
Hello, ladies. Our table was really on fire. We belong to a women's group called Women in the Spotlight Going Global. Some of our barriers were getting paid what you are worth, being in a male-dominated society, obviously, knowing, asking for what you want, Certainly we were wired to be less forceful, things like that. Being more assertive makes you a B, and certainly that's a major obstacle. Some of the solutions were learning how to speak up for yourself, knowing your worth, asking for what you deserve, creating laws that are implemented with regard to gender inequity and making sure that they're followed, making men uncomfortable in positions when they know that there is a gender inequality. Focusing on goals regardless of the distraction, working on our sons to make them realize that women are not less, that we are just as equal as they are.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
So I'm going to turn it back to the panel for some additional insights. I know that they were walking the room and involved. So I'm going to turn it back to you guys, and then we'll take some Q&A after that. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right.
You guys did some good work out there. I was listening to these conversations. I am telling you, absolutely phenomenal. Please, before we even close, let me say, don't stop the conversation here. Please don't. Take it to the highways, to the byways, everywhere that you go, because until we continue to talk about this, until paradigms have changed, there is going to be a conversation around women and girls in entrepreneurship. So I'm going to go back to the panel now, and let's talk about final closing thoughts. So now you guys have the power, you have the microphone. Where do we leave this conversation today as it relates to either removing barriers, scaling success, or sustainability? Would you like to start? Valerie or Ms.
Valerie, go ahead.
Valerie, okay.
Thank you. I'll be glad to. We could have done a whole other session, clearly.
We're going to get a couple more before we close, so we want to make sure.
So many good ideas out there. I would, again, just underscore having those great mentors, people to come alongside. There's research that suggests there is a difference between having a mentor and having an advocate. So you need someone to help you with the how-tos. You need someone there to be your best teammate and your cheerleader and a person to help you with entrepreneurial literacy, kind of knowing the next steps. That's all extremely important. But that networking piece, which is another really important part of an entrepreneur's success, is learning how to network and find advocates. Find women who have the ability to open the door for you, which is a little different than that mentor role. So having an advocate is just as important, and multiple advocates, and that was the other thing I wanted to add, that it's not one person, it's multiple people, and learning how to be that relationship builder with people who not only can help you with the how-tos and the encouragement and be your best teammate about that, and also those people who are in your network who can open those doors, who can be your advocates. I shared yesterday about my son's story about someone literally opened a door for him to be able to have access to the information and opportunity he needed to invent his very first thing, and he invented something on his road to hopefully inventing something one day that changes the world. You have to have someone that can actually open that door and be an advocate for you, and that's all I got.
That's good. That's some great stuff. You know, listening to what Valerie was saying, I've got a very personal story. My oldest daughter is here. I'm a mother of 4. And my oldest daughter is here, and she was a Georgia Tech graduate. Yeah, she earned that degree. Biomedical engineering major, but when she got out, she'd opted for entrepreneurship. And so she gave back in terms of creating her own tutoring company to tutor children in the STEM fields, the maths, the sciences. Her business, she has too many kids that need that. And so the reality of it is entrepreneurship, it is a viable way for women and girls to make it. So Lexi, let's talk about your college days. What's gonna happen, do you think, to miniature chefs and your business when you start thinking about going to college and maybe even beyond? What are your thoughts?
When I go to college, I want to go to a culinary school. I'm thinking about going to Leghorn Blue. So if I get a culinary degree, then I can expand to adults, not only just kids.
And Lexi, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Lots and lots and lots of folks, there's a big conversation out about student debt. How do you pay for college? Have you thought about maybe some of those economic barriers, if there are any, to you going to college? Give us your thoughts.
I'm hoping to get a scholarship that will pay off for me to go to college.
What about the business itself? Have you thought about profits maybe going toward some of that, toward your own living expenses and putting money into your own pocket? Is that part of the plan?
That's part of the plan.
Finally, what would you ideally like to say to this, if we fast forward 15 years from now? Dream for us and tell us what we would see from Lexi 15 years from now.
Me being miniature chefs, being the largest cooking academy in Georgia.
That makes you feel, that, I am telling you, awesome, awesome, awesome. And so, Ms. Burns, how can we help the Lexis of the world make sure that those kinds of dreams come true from a corporation global perspective?
I think something that's really important to emphasize is that we're talking about job creators, not job seekers. The difference with your daughter, Alexia, is they're job creators. They're out there creating a more thriving economy for all of us. So investing in them is investing in the community, and it's good for business, from the private sector to the individual. I mean, these are decisions we can make every day: to shop local, to go to your main street. The reason you move to your neighborhood because of that bakery or that restaurant, that cafe, that salon, and use your purchasing power to speak for your beliefs. I think that as far as the global perspective goes, that's when, from the room, what I really got a lot of feedback on, and the importance that where we are here is not the same for many women around the world. And I want to emphasize that this is men and women, this is the gender spectrum, this is equality, this is diversity. The more people with different ideas, from different backgrounds, from different perspectives, working on something together will just create stronger, more long-lasting solutions. So we can only do this together. So thank you to all the men in the room, and we need more.
You have said that. Oh my gosh, that is a mouthful. Couple more conversation. I want to make sure we open it up for Q&A. So either a question, you still have the 45-second rule, or a comment in terms of solutions and barriers that you guys have discussed at your tables. I will open it up.
I just want to sow into you, and hopefully everybody else will too.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
That college fund going. Did you have a question, or?
We were just going to share some solutions that we had. Okay. For this exercise, they gave me the name Dee Dee, so Dee Dee's talking. But some of the barriers that we talked about is for a woman, just her basic day-to-day obligations at home, and taking that in consideration. And some of the solutions there is really family and using that support in order to get over that hurdle. Another one we identified is also speaking the language of the young ladies as they come up. What is being an entrepreneur? Speaking in their language, we might change it by saying, do you want to own your own business? So understanding their language and speaking their language.
Thank you.
Awesome. I know I've discovered, too, as you go to the next person, that community is absolutely important. We've talked a lot about role modeling and relationships and building. I know for me personally, once again, that's a passion area. Bringing together in March over 400 women, different backgrounds, different ideas, different kinds of women, from college women all the way up to, I think our oldest attending our annual breakfast is over 70 years old. And there's something about the collective wisdom and the camaraderie of women coming together under our theme this year of discovering their unique purpose that gives that kind of strength and undergirding that we so need as women, entrepreneurs, girls as well, as men coming to the table and helping in that regard as well. So more solutions and more things that you guys have got. Let's hear it.
I'm Natasha Bryant, and our group came up with two strong ones. It was lack of sponsors, not just mentors. You said advocates in it, and it's advocates as sponsors. We say that's what the guys do. They open the doors for each other while we cheerlead. But if we can actually have that, and also we said conditioning, that we've been set in gender roles for so long that these are what girls do, this is what boys do. So we said the two solutions would be that we can raise autonomous children. We started looking through the lens of, we're looking at girls, not from the women's perspective. If we can raise autonomous children and encourage women and girls to look at what boys do, How are they successful in working together? How are they successful at overcoming the odds? And mirror it. That's what we do in business. We look at our competition, we see what they do well, and we say, okay, let me do that, but do it better. And so that's what we came up with.
Can I
That's
respond
fantastic.
quickly
Please, I was
to
going to
that?
say, jump in, yeah.
Because what you're saying and the gentlemen are bringing up is really important. Some conversations I've had with some of the young women we work with in Rwanda, cultural and traditional barriers are really difficult, and some of them are the first in their families to pursue an education, let alone the idea of owning their own business, and going up against big families that want them to get married very young. And the conversations we've had with these young women, and the idea that women invest 90% of their income back into their family. So this isn't about let's be nice to our sisters and let them go to school. This is about actually investing in the family, and very quickly all the family members, and you have to raise it up to the fathers and the brothers and the husbands that see the economic difference.
Absolutely. Val, you want to add?
I 100% agree with that. Our research shows that if someone, a youngster, has a parent or a guardian who has their own business, guess what? They're more likely to say they're going to start their own business. But not every young girl has the benefit of having that model immediately available. So where we need young entrepreneurs to think it's okay to have failure and to normalize failure to some degree, it's equally important to have successful models that they can see about that.
Beautiful.
And to make sure we celebrate them in front of those young aspiring entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I cannot overlook this table. They were absolutely stellar in flagging me down. I was embarrassed to walk by.
So a couple of our barriers were similar to everybody else, as well as bridging a generational gap between, maybe like you're saying, the past generation to have it for the younger generation. So one of our resolutions were to have almost like a big sister life coaching program that can be set up, that where also you can mentor women, be an advocate for women, and even if you're not in the industry, other people could donate their time, and if you're in another industry now, I could set you up with somebody else who knows how to help you in that industry. And so therefore we can mentor ourselves, and we can be life coaches to other women no matter what age you are. So even if you're in high school and sometimes you just need someone to recognize that visionary in you, not see it as you're someone who's hallucinating because your community doesn't support that. So now you have somebody else that you can seek out that will support that visionary and help you, no matter what age you are, where you're coming from.
Love it.
Jennifer, that sounds like hashtag strong
girls.
Right?
Come on now.
You
That's
say
it. That is absolutely it. One of the other exciting things, I don't want to hog it up, but we created this idea for a mentor mixer. So think of the idea of speed dating meets mentorship. And we're going to be bringing together in September college women and young women to go through exactly what you just said, babe, in terms of bringing together different industries, different kinds of environments, so that you can get that nugget, so that you can get that research, so that you can get that you go, girl, you can do it kind of thing that we need in our life. I'm too excited. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Fantastic.
Yeah, a couple things. First, two confessions. One, I did have a challenge trying to identify as a woman.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
I chose not to go there, but but I did make a confession to the ladies at my table, and I think it's something that's very important for all of you to understand. Was prior to knowing that my wife and I were having a girl over 4.5 years ago, this whole aspect of women and equality and success, it wasn't on my radar. It wasn't as if I didn't care or didn't want to understand. It's just I didn't know. And I actually read a book called Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters. And at the end of that book, when I started praying, I broke down crying because it was like, I did not know. So there's this whole aspect of education and awareness that I think we all need to embrace, but I will encourage you women to start that conversation with other men and not necessarily vilify them, because I'm not even gonna say other men are ignorant about it. They just may not know. So I think that's something that's really important to know and understand. But thank you for the insights and the feedback and sharing today.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Do you have any reactions or comments on that?
Next question. That was good.
All right. There's a question?
Oh,
or
Make
comment?
a comment.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the comment our table had about the solutions, which was mentorship and collaboration. We believe with mentorship, definitely keeping that generational train going as far as empowering women, and collaboration with other women entrepreneurs working together in general. They just have to do that, because that's what men do. We just work together, regardless if we like each other or not. I mean, we got to get the business done, so we're going to do it. But another thing I was going to say in regards to this, a lot of it is actually men expressing to other men what's going on in this room now. That, I mean, if they hear it from other men, they're more likely to listen. I'm not saying that men don't listen to women, but let's be honest, sometimes they don't. I mean, I'm not saying, I don't do that, but I don't speak for all men. I know what most men do. I'm still a man. I kind of understand the reasons, but I grew up with sisters, so I had to listen to my sisters. You know, I had 2 older sisters. I had to listen to them.
Fantastic.
Maybe it's better if we hear it from men and women. How's that?
Yes, but men do need to hear it from men, too. That's all I'm saying.
Important point for us to know.
Fantastic.
All right.
Maybe we can take
have
2
time
more,
for 2
and
more.
that's it? Okay.
Excellent. Okay, we'll do this table and then that table.
Fantastic.
Got it. Okay. Hi, my name is Kelsey Russell, and I love what you just said, and that was exactly what we were talking about at this table. Is one of the biggest things I think there aren't enough conversations about how do we involve men. And I'm actually really curious, as you worked in the international space, where the gender equality is a big conversation, but I think even here in the States, we talk about solution for girls, solution for women, and men and boys, how we treat the boys to treat the girl, or teach the boys how to treat the girls. That's such a huge part of the conversation, and the self-respect that women have, it comes from that conversation as well. So I think one of the challenges that I think I give this room is to really look at the conversations that we're having and gear more of that conversation not just around how we fix the girls, but how we speak with the boys too.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah,
You want to weigh in on that real quick?
So you're hitting that exactly right on the head. And in parts of the world where it is a little bit more complicated, we have programming that coincides, right? That's working with young men on how to support and be friends and advocates for the girls in their classroom, right? The girls in their family. And you do start at a really young age. And even here, there's conversations. I don't know if any of you have seen the new film, The Mask That He Wears. And it's about our young boys and how we take vulnerability and emotional sensitivity out on the playground by age 5. So I think that we are needing to redefine masculinity as well as embrace a new generation of women leaders.
Lexi, I'd like to ask you very quickly, thank you, yes, great conversation. What kinds of support, if any, have you gotten from your male friends? Schoolmates, classmates, men, period?
Well, my daddy supports me a lot.
Strong fathers.
Any other 9th grade boys say, you go, Lexi? Wow. That's telling. That is telling right there. Val, any research on that in terms of male support involvement?
You know, Valerie the mom, this is Val the mom, not Gallup so much, but I just underscore that. So where can we have great models all around, both grown-up men and women, women who are doing it, women who are successful, and men who are the cheerleaders too.
Excellent.
I mean, look at Malala, right? The perfect example of a father who championed her to go to school when that wasn't a possibility in her community.
Wow, wow. And we've got the final comment?
The
Question?
final comment. So
I have a question for Dermalogica. My name is Jasmine, and I have a performing arts and foreign language company in Douglas County in a low-income area, and we are LLC. And every time I tell somebody that, they're like, you should be nonprofit because you could get more funding. How did you get funding without being a nonprofit?
So what I would call you is a social entrepreneur. And a social entrepreneur is looking at her business and how it's investing in the community. So it's solving problems and creating jobs as a job creator. You're part of the future of business, and you're leading the way in a way that companies are now going to be following you. So I think when you're talking to investors, it's important to talk about your return of investment as something that's much bigger than just the money you're getting back, right? And you have to incorporate into your conversation a much bigger return, which is what's happening in the community and the lives that are being changed. Storytelling will be a really big piece of that.
This has been mind-blowing, fantastic. Please thank the panel again. Great, great, great conversation and discussion. Stand up, stretch your legs, clap for yourselves. You did a fantastic job. And is there anything else that we need to do for housekeeping?
I think we are done. Thank you all very much.
Thank you guys. Have a fantastic day.